We're looking ahead on today's episode of Miami Dolphins Today because on today's show, we're going to look at 5 Miami Dolphins players that are currently on the roster that, in my opinion, should not be on the roster in 2025. Little fun show here, in my opinion. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And make sure you follow us over on Twitter, or at least I should say follow me on Twitter. /X at Nic_Rohloff is my handle. We talk Miami Dolphins football every single day. I'll have news, I'll have rumors, I'll have Dolphins highlights. Everything you need to know on the Miami Dolphins we'll have over there. And if stuff happens, we break it down on Twitter before letting you know on YouTube. So if you want to be the most informed Miami Dolphins fan, be subscribed. But make sure you also follow me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. The number one player, in my opinion, that cannot return for the Miami Dolphins in 2025 is safety Jevon Holland. I am done with Jevon Holland. The 2020 second-round pick, someone who was once thought of as a centerpiece of this Dolphins defense for years to come. And you can roll the tapes back. I'm not hiding from it. Cold takes exposed. I said this previous offseason, back in July and August, that the number one thing I would do before the season began in September was extending Jevon Holland. Boy, am I glad that they did not do that because he is a terrible tackler. He's going to be expensive, and I do not want to pay him the price tag that he will likely demand this offseason. I know it's just Pro Football Focus. It's just PFF, but PFF projected his contract and labeled him as the third best free agent in this upcoming free agency class, which is a disaster in its own right and shows you how bad this free agency pool is this upcoming March, that he's number 3. But PFF projected his contract at 4 years, $98 million, $58 million guaranteed, coming out to a 19.5 annual average salary. There is absolutely no chance that I pay Jevon Holland $19.5 million per year. That is just a disaster. I have been on record saying I would pay him 15, I would pay him 16, but I would likely know that he's going to want 18. If he wants 19 or 20, you can forget that. I ain't paying that shit. And when you look at Jevon Holland's stats this season, it has not been what you would think it were to be. It has not been good. He has not been good in coverage. He's been a bad tackler. He's allowed a completion percentage of 68.8%. He's allowed 274 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has been bad in coverage, but the most egregious thing for Jevon Holland is the fact that he cannot tackle. It's bad. I am so sick and tired of watching Jevon Holland whiff on tackle after tackle after tackle. And you might think that it's not that much. And you might be right. He's playing 13 games. He only missed 10 tackles. So it's not even a missed tackle a game. But it's a missed tackle percentage of 16.4%, which means he's missing 16.4% of his tackle chances, which actually is pretty high. And it's the highest percentage of his career. So he's having the worst season of his career in terms of tackling. PFF grades it at a 50.5. It's been an absolute disaster for Jevon Holland in coverage. It's been a disaster for him trying to tackle. And I am not paying someone who has regressed every single year of his career $19.5 million per season. Just an absolute train wreck, and I'm not doing it. Let me know, do you want to re-sign Jevon Holland? Maybe you disagree with me and you do want him back. Type Y if you want to re-sign Jevon Holland. Type N if you are like me and are saying, get him out of here. Number 2, the other safety, Jordan Poyer. If that doesn't tell you where I'm at with the safety room in Miami, I don't know what will, because he is bad, man. He sucks too. He is probably one of the worst safeties in football. And they're actually both graded out as one of the worst safeties. We've done this type of video in the past. He is like the 63rd ranked safety in football according to Pro Football Focus. Jevon Holland, 62. And Poyer is worse than Jevon Holland in coverage. He gives up more completion percentage. Jevon Holland's at 68%. Well, Jordan Poyer's at 75%. He allows the same amount of yards, but has allowed one more touchdown. And the most egregious stat of them all, the quarterback rating. NFL quarterbacks have 141.2 QB rating when targeting Jordan Poyer. Just in case you didn't know, the max, is 158.3. So they're damn near perfect throwing at Jordan Poyer. Overhaul the safety room. Just overhaul it. I'm done. Jevon Holland can't tackle. Jordan Poyer can't tackle. They both can't cover. I think you can allot money to that safety room and use your resources better. Like, I think you could find just as productive safeties for $9 million per season. And instead of paying both Poyer and Holland a combined $25-30 million, I think you could find a safety room as productive or better, hopefully better, for half the price. Especially if they look towards the NFL draft in the first 2 rounds as a safety, or they trust the 6th-round rookie Patrick Morris that they drafted last April to be a top 2 safety for this team next year. We'll see, but I think you cannot have Holland and Poyer back in 2025. 3 more players to get to, but we are sponsored by DraftKings, the sports book that I use consistently, and it's the only one that I use. Shout out to DraftKings. It's the most wonderful time of the year for getting in on all the hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. In the season of giving, we're being gifted college football and basketball, pro football and basketball, and pro hockey too, almost 24/7. And here's a gift for all new customers. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HEATCHAT. That's code HEATCHAT for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And with DraftKings, you can play any way. You could do straight bets, you could do parlays, player props for the king of player props. Well, I went 2 different straight bets for Dolphins in Week 17 against the Browns. I'll take them to cover 6.5 points against Cleveland. I think they win in a blowout. And I also take them to score over 23.5 points. Lines and odds subject to change on DraftKings, but download the app, use promo code HEATCHAT, our dual code for our Heat and Dolphins channels here at Chat Sports, and you can get $150 in bonus bets if you hit a $5 bet. Shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring today's show. Number 3 on players that can't return for the Miami Dolphins. You knew he was going to show up. Liam Eichenberg. He is one of the worst players that I have ever watched play football, and I cannot have him on this roster next season whatsoever. And I might be going as far as this to say this. If Liam Eichenberg is on the Dolphins roster next season, I may boycott the year. Not actually. We'll still be here breaking down the coverage. But I cannot handle another year of Liam Eichenberg. I can't do it. He's one of the worst offensive linemen in football. He's graded as one of the worst starting offensive guards in the NFL. And how could you not? Like, the eye test supports the numbers that PFF is giving you. Like, he cannot block. He single-handedly blew the game for the Dolphins against the Houston Texans. He got obliterated inside on stunts from Will Anderson, stunts from Danielle Hunter, straight-up bull rushes from Malik Collins and in the interior defensive line of the Texans. Eichenberg is horrible. 9 penalties as well. What is this guy doing? How can you be so bad? And I'll go as far as to this. Isaiah Wynn played 34 snaps on Sunday against the 49ers. Liam Eichenberg played 33. They split time. In one game, Isaiah Wynn was 10 times better than Liam Eichenberg at right guard. Liam is a free agent this upcoming offseason. I don't want to see him. Bye, Liam. Good luck with the rest of your career, man. Thank God your rookie contract's up. I'm done with Liam Eichenberg. He's one of the worst offensive linemen in football. The reason why the Dolphins have struggled to run the football this season is because of how bad Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg have been at left guard and right guard. Liam Eichenberg's worse than Robert Jones somehow. Bye, Liam. I don't want to ever see you in a Dolphins uniform again after this season. Two more players to get to, but we are battling the Cleveland Browns report in Week 17 sub battle. We've picked up 88 subs this week. They picked up 81. Hit that sub button. We were able to come back and beat the 49ers in our Week 16 sub battle, and we beat them on the football field. So if you want to beat the Browns on the football field, hit that sub button, join the channel, and let's beat the Browns. Number 4 is a little bit of a heartbreaker. Anthony Walker Jr., the linebacker. Yeah, and this is unfortunate. This one hurts me a little bit in the soul. I'm disappointed in Anthony Walker Jr. I am. I made a video halfway through the year about how Miami needed to bench David Long Jr. in favor of Anthony Walker Jr. and give him a shot because of how bad David Long Jr. was. And I thought it could not be worse than David Long Jr. And I will still say this. I don't think Anthony Walker Jr. has been worse than David Long Jr., but it certainly hasn't been much better. You see the numbers on his PFF grades. They're not good. He was better and has been better against the run than David Long Jr. was. But the most disappointing thing to me on Anthony Walker Jr. is how bad he's been in coverage. Like, Anthony Walker Jr., fun fact, by the way, over the last 3 seasons, as a Brown, as an Indianapolis Colt, his coverage grades have been top 10 in the NFL for a linebacker. 2 years ago, he was graded out 90.1 as a coverage linebacker in his first year at Cleveland. Last year, he was in the mid-70s as a Cleveland Brown. 3 years ago, in the 70s as well as an Indianapolis Colt. So I don't know what went wrong, but he's not been good in coverage this year. You saw the grades from PFF. Look at the stats. Allows a completion percentage of 84.4%. He does have 1 interception, but he's given up 293 yards, a score, and we mentioned QB rating for Jordan Poyer. It's 102.2 when targeting Anthony Walker Jr. He's been a major disappointment for me. I expected him to be a good change-of-pace linebacker, a good passing linebacker in terms of coverage, work sideline to sideline with his speed. It ultimately has not been the case this season. Jordan Brooks has been just as good in coverage, and he is known as a run stopper, not a pass stopper. Kind of interesting to see Anthony Walker Jr.'s downfall, and it's why the Dolphins, one of their biggest need is to get a secondary off-ball linebacker to complement Jordan Brooks in the offseason. One of the top 5 things Miami needs. What player has been one of the biggest disappointments for the Miami Dolphins this season? Anthony Walker Jr. is up there for me, just alongside Jordan Poyer and Jevon Holland. Let me know who it has been for you. 5th and final name of players that cannot return, Julian Hill. This guy is an absolute bum. Horrible. I can't stand Julian Hill. Enough with him. Like, why does he get playing time? He's the 3rd tight end on the roster, but he plays consistently because Mike McDaniel has a hard-on for letting him be a blocking tight end. He does not give you anything in the passing game. He is a non-threat. This year, he has just 12 receptions and 100 yards. And he's played in every game. Like, Julian Hill doesn't do anything in the passing game. So then, well, Nic Rohloff, if he doesn't do anything in the passing game, why is he on the roster? Why is he getting playing time? It's to be a blocker. But the thing is, he can't block. He has a 40 overall grade. He has 56.5 in pass blocking, 44.5 run blocking, and he's committed 7 penalties this year. Whether it's holding, illegal formations, illegal shifts, he's one of the most penalized players on the roster. I do not understand why Mike McDaniel has an affinity for Julian Hill. He is bad at everything he does. He's lucky he doesn't get as much playing time as other people, or he might have been number 1 on my list for players that cannot return. But when you think about the list of 5 players I have, I think it would be pretty safe to say Miami should find replacements for all of them this upcoming offseason. I don't know many people that could disagree with me. All right, that will do it for today's episode of Dolphins Today. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We will have you covered on everything surrounding the Miami Dolphins. And when we get to the offseason, when the Dolphins hopefully find replacements for those 5 players, we'll have you covered. Or maybe they bring back Jevon Holland, which would be a disaster in my opinion. We'll have you covered on that too. Hit that sub button.